Today, I'm going to test out a bunch of different hair ties and see which one is the best for ponytails. Bet you've never done this. Neither have I. I have a collection of different hair ties, and I mean so many, so many. I wanted to stick to one type of category per hair tie and see how they look, how they last. Let's put them on. First is a typical black elastic, or the typical hair elastic that I think of when I think of a ponytail elastic. You can get these pretty much anywhere, but these have been around for ages. It's the seamless ones where it kind of connects at one end. It has this I think it's just glue that connects it. It does not have the metal piece. I hate those. They hurt, they suck. These are slightly better. So let's put this on and see how it works. Lurks? Let's see how it looks. Looks and works, get it? Lurks. I like these ones because when they're freshly new, they work phenomenal. I think that's why they're so good, is because they're super tight. You can really use them in thick hair, thin hair, and you can really get that sleek look, but they do stretch out very fast and over time. Sometimes it depends what kind of batch you get, but I like this one. This one's great. If I want super, super sleek ponytail or a super sleek bun, I will use one of these. Next, we have the hair coils. These came out to the scene, I would say, a good several years ago when it became super popular. I mean, pretty much every single hair brand jumped on the bandwagon. It's just because they're good. They do a really good job. They're very strong. They don't have as much breakage to the hair. That's the whole thing with these ones. You can really break your hair because they are so strong and super tight. So these are a little bit better. They're still super strong. You can make your hair really tight, but they're a little bit more comfortable in your head or on your head. In your head. On your head. Hair coils are also very strong, they're very durable, and they can last a really long time. They do have an end, so you can break them, but usually better hair brands, they put a little bit more thought and effort into their hair coils, so you can definitely find some really good options. There's also cloth options instead of the plastic type of hair tie. And if they do lose their shape, because they do come quite small and you can stretch them out quite a lot. So if you do keep stretching them over and over again, keep using them, you just got to put them into some warm water and then it just basically goes back to its original shape. So these do last quite a little bit longer. They are quite comfortable in the head. I've worn these multiple times to the gym, done hit, and they do a pretty good job. The one thing I do want to say, sometimes I do find breakage in the hair if I go a little bit too tight. They do leave hair with a little bit of creasing. It's not the worst, but it's definitely visible. Again, I actually really enjoy these, but I like the cloth ones just as much. Next we have are the scrunchies. These made a comeback, a huge comeback recently, and people have been loving scrunchies. I mean, there are so many different types of scrunchies. You can have many different designs. You can have different fabrics. You can have silk scrunchies, just any kind of scrunchie. And usually scrunchies, they're a lot bigger in size and they're a little bit more massive. So you can definitely wear a ponytail, but I don't really prefer these because they also give me a pretty big headache. But let's quickly see what it looks like. Scrunchies are definitely not my favorite to do long activities in, to do really crazy activities like working out, just because usually they get super sweaty. First of all, they don't hold the hair up as well, and they're a little too bulky for my personal opinion, and they're more of like a statement piece versus actually working really well. Scrunchies are probably my least favorite just because they usually don't have as much hold to them, and usually the inside elastic is super cheap and it doesn't have as much elasticity, as much hold and strength. So usually I stay away from scrunchies unless it's like a silk scrunchie and I use it for overnight because I want something really gentle and soft on my hair. But they are pretty. They're definitely very fun. Next we have the Tiebacks, hair ties or scrunchies, whatever you want to call them. I think these had a really huge impact because they were super soft and they looked cute when you wore them on your hand because they're not the typical scrunchy look. It kind of had its own little unique look. But I would say these are probably the least amount of support for your head, but they don't give pretty much any headaches. Every time I've worn these, my head feels phenomenal because there's pretty much no support in here. I don't hate them, but I don't love them. I think there's a time and place for any of these hair ties. Again, with these types of tieback hair ties, you can find different styles. Like there's the braided kind. I mean, there's so many different styles of these kind. The one thing I do want to say about these, they don't last as long and they stretch out way too fast, and you can't really bring them back unless you basically retie them over and over again, and you just keep making this longer, because you are going to lose elasticity quite fast just because of the fabric. I mean, it doesn't really stretch as much and it doesn't really bounce back. Like you can see this, it stretches quite a lot, but you see how even the top is moving as I'm stretching it. So it's stretching, but it's making the hair tie a lot bigger when you initially started. So I would say these are very pretty, but they're not the most useful. They're not the most productive. They don't do their job quite as well as the other hair ties, but they're cute. So you know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, what do I want to wear today? All right, so then we have newer kids on the block. For example, Ponyo. I actually did a whole separate video just on this, and I tested it out the entire day. It was a great video. You should definitely check it out. But this right here is basically a very ingenious, very revolutionary type of product that's supposed to be the strongest, the best looking, the one that's gonna lift up your ponytail, give it life and volume. This is the product for you. All right, so with the Ponyo, after testing it out, and I did the whole video on it, it's probably one of my least favorite hair products ever. I don't like it one bit, and I'm not the only one. First of all, so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. I had a massive headache pretty much the entire day. The reason why is because of the material and how it holds the hair. You have to create the ponytail, you have to shove it through, and it basically doesn't have any other movement. You can't stretch it out, nothing. And it's this rubberized material on the outside. And when you put your hair through it, I actually have hair that literally it breaks, or it gets caught on the rubber because it has these little inside edges to keep it holding onto the hair. And then basically you put it through, you squish it down, and then you bring the edges underneath, inside, under the ponytail, and that's how it holds your hair. So literally it's taking the hair and kind of squishing it and kind of twisting it together to make sure it holds. So it really gives you a really bad headache, and it actually does not hold great at all. It kept falling out of my head. The one thing I do want to say, this might last really great just because there's no stretch to it. The type of material that they're using, it might last for years on end. And I mean, it might last like an apocalypse, honestly. It's definitely one of my least favorite hair products just because there's no versatility to it. The one question I always had was, where are you gonna carry it? That's the beauty of hair ties. You can take any one of these and put it on your wrist. You know what I mean? Like, every single one of these on my wrist, and I can carry as much as I want. I am always prepared. But with the Ponyo, you can't. And they're very expensive. Yeah, and they don't hold the hair as tight. Like a regular hair tie will do a much better job. It's just my personal opinion. Next we have are just regular clear elastics. They can be whatever color, but it's a very tiny elastic for your hair. And they do have different sizes, so you can choose for the thickness of your hair. So I think that's great. And these are definitely one of my favorite brands, Elastic U. I get them off of Amazon still to this day. I don't know how many I purchased, but I purchased a lot. I could only go twice with this clear elastic because it's 20 millimeters, so I couldn't go 3 times. But with clear elastics, I usually only wear these with certain hairstyles. I never wear them on their own just because they crease your hair. They're not long lasting. I mean, they're clear elastics. They're super tiny, they're super thin, and they can pop on you, which is inevitable because that's the quality they are. They're not supposed to be long lasting like a regular hair tie. And these are great for braids especially. I love using these particularly for braids. If I'm going to do different like ponytails in my hair and do something with those ponytails, do some kind of elaborate hairstyle, I'll always go for these. So these definitely have a purpose in my life. That's why I keep repurchasing them. That's why I keep buying them. That's why I keep using them. I don't use them on an everyday basis. Definitely not. I mean, I definitely would not recommend this type for a ponytail. There's so many other great options. Like I said, these are great for specific hairstyles. All right, last but not least, these are kind of a scrunchie, but then they're slightly a little bit different because they are silk hair ties, and especially this type of shape and size. They're not as thick, so they're a little bit smaller. So it's basically one of these really nice hair ties inside a silk pillowcase. So the reason why I like this is because they're super soft and gentle on my hair, and they don't really leave any creasing. Let's be all honest. Every single type of hair elastic will leave some type of creasing. Some will be more, some will be less noticeable, some will be like, hey, there's a little bit of creasing, but it's gonna fall out a lot faster. And I find that with these type of hair ties, they look really good in the hair and they leave the hair looking great after I take them out. And the reason why, like I said, they're super soft, they're very gentle on the hair because they're silk, and they actually last quite a long time. I can actually wear these to the gym, but I would have to tie my hair like 4 times instead of 3, where I usually do with all of the other ones, even if it's fresh, just because I want these to be a little bit tighter. I don't remember last time I had a headache using one of these, but I can also wear these for messy buns as well, or like sleek buns. So this is kind of like a very versatile hair tie for me. It's one of my favorites. I think I only bought these twice from Sephora, and I've been using them ever since. And I just kind of rotate the colors. One color is for a certain time when I go to the gym. The other color is for when I wear a hair mask, and the other color is for the everyday type of use. It's just personally my own favorite, and I don't see any breakage from this hair tie. And this hair tie that I have in my hair right now, I tied it only 3 times, and it's still nice and tight, but a good tight where I'm not gonna get a headache. And if I want it super tight, I can go a 4th time, but that's gonna be already super tight. And that's if I really need if I'm doing a super intense workout, I go for this. To conclude this video, my top 3 are definitely my silk scrunchie that I just use pretty much every single day for every single use possible, even as a little bracelet. I'm lame, I know. The hair coil, definitely my second. It could be the plastic, it could be the cloth. I think they even have silk versions, honestly. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I saw a couple of those. If I did, I need to purchase them ASAP. And then of course, the very simple, straight to the point hair tie that you can find pretty much anywhere in the world. They're super strong, they look good, but they have some drawbacks, like they're super strong, they give you a really bad headache, and they can break your hair and create creasing, and they don't last as long. So these are my top 3 for different various reasons. But yeah, you guys, let me know what's your favorite hair tie, and I'll see you in the next video very soon. Bye.